Natalia wants to run her first marathon in the birthplace of the marathon, Greece. She's booked her flights and she's signed up for the Athens Marathon 6 weeks from now. The problem is that she's been struggling with pain in the front of both of her hips since she reached the 13-mile long run in her training program a couple of weeks ago. And worse than that, for as long as she can remember, she's been stuck in this injury cycle of being injured and then getting over it and then getting injured again. As she describes it, for as long as I can remember, I've been stuck in a constant loop of running, injury, rest, running, repeat. This really kept me from improving and seeing any kind of progress. So running was on again, off again, activity. I went to doctors, did PT, had a running evaluation done, went to acupuncture, chiropractor, sports massage, you name it. All ended up with me back on the couch, injured. Frustrated by her previous experiences with traditional healthcare, Natalia just didn't want to go and see her doctor because she was pretty sure that she was just going to be told to rest again. And this really wasn't an option for Natalia. She'd booked her place in the marathon, she'd booked her flights, and she had a heart set on doing her first ever marathon in the place where the first ever marathon had been run. And that's what Natalia should be focused on. She should be focused on her training and being excited about going to the birthplace of the marathon, wondering if she's going to be able to get herself fit enough to go the distance, not worried about whether her hips are going to flare up and be too painful to continue if she does her next long run. And the real problem here is that just being told to rest the injury better is just about the worst advice that you could give an injured runner. This is what former guest of the show and friend of mine, Brody Sharp, describes as the pain, rest, weakness cycle. You get pain somewhere as you're trying to ramp up the training volume and intensity in preparation for a race. You go to the doctor or a PT and they tell you to rest. Now you're not putting any stress on the injured area, so the pain goes away. Unfortunately, though, the body no longer has any reason to make that area stronger. So for Natalia, she could rest and the pain in her hips would go away as it had done with previous injuries. However, now there is no stress being placed on the hip joints and the muscles and tendons surrounding that area. And that's because the body is not going to waste energy making those tissues, the muscles, tendons, bones, and joints stronger if there's no stimulus to, if there's no reason to make them stronger, the body's just not going to do it. So of course they get weaker, along with all of the other bones, muscles, tendons, and joints in the whole leg. So once the pain has calmed down, Natalia returns to running and tries to build up her volume and intensity of training again. However, now she's doing it with weaker bones, muscles, tendons, and joints. So of course, as the training gets more challenging, she gets injured again. This is the pain, rest, weakness cycle that Brody describes. And this is a big part of what leads to these reoccurring injuries in different parts of the leg, season on season. And full props to Brody for describing this problem so succinctly with that pain, rest, weakness description. If you like that and you think you'll learn more from Brody, I'm sure you will. Check out the Run Smarter podcast. And I had this exact problem myself. When I first got into running, I wanted to run a marathon. The problem was, as I tried to ramp up my training volume and intensity, as I hit around 25 kilometers a week, something would go and I would get injured. In the first year, I think it was my Achilles. So after taking a few months of rest, I'd missed the marathon and I would try again to ramp up my training volume and intensity in preparation to do a marathon the next year. Again, I'd reach about 20 to 30 kilometers a week and then bam, shin splints. So again, pain, rest, weakness, and repeat. The next time I tried to ramp up my training, I got a metatarsal stress reaction. And the year after that, I think it was back to the Achilles again. And since then, I've learned that the key to successful recovery after a running injury is running. As I like to say, running is the rehab. When we discussed all of this on her free call when we first met a few months back, I suggested a plan to Natalia that would give her a decent shot of finishing that first marathon, but more importantly, would get her out of this pain, rest, weakness cycle that was leading to this running, injury, rest, running, repeat cycle that she described year on year. Number one, use running as the rehab so we would maintain the current volume and intensity of the running as it was being tolerated right now. Number two, we'd increase her strength by adding heavy lifting twice a week. And number three, we'd slowly increase the volume and intensity of the training using the pain traffic lights to guide our progress. So Natalia would have to push hard on those strength workouts and then execute the running workouts as prescribed and leave pain reports describing how the hip pain behaved in terms of green, orange, or red light pain. We would use that information to either increase, decrease, or plateau her training for the next 1, 2, or 3 weeks. Importantly here, the behavior of the hip pain would determine the rate of progress of the training program, not some arbitrary marathon training program that doesn't respect where her hips are currently at. So we would progress her training at the rate that her hips allowed us to, but not faster. So, how did it go? Well, here is what Natalia said after the race. I just completed my first marathon, and I'm so proud of my results. 5 months into my training, I was in pain again and ready to give up. At last hope, I reached out to Matthew. Honestly, I didn't think it was possible to run with pain and improve and see the pain go away, but it did. My marathon was completely pain-free. And we're very proud of you, Natalia. You see, if Natalia had followed the advice of traditional healthcare to rest the injury better, she probably would have missed out on this opportunity to run her first marathon in the birthplace of the marathon. And worse than that, she'd still be stuck in this pain, rest, weakless cycle that Brody describes so succinctly. When we met, Natalia was stuck in this seemingly unending cycle of injuries, and she was so frustrated that she was just about ready to give up her dream of ever running a marathon. And now she's a marathoner. She's feeling stronger and more resilient and more confident than she ever has in her running because she used the running as the rehab and built up the resilience in the tissues to handle the kind of training volume that marathon running requires. She's already eyeing up her next marathon for next year, but first she wants to get faster at some of the shorter distances so when she returns to the marathon, she can focus on getting a PR. If you're stuck in this never-ending running injury cycle, just like Natalia was, we can probably help. Just click the link in the description, book a call with us, and we'll have a chat and see if we can help you get back to full training.